More food, less nourishment. It sounds impossible, yet that's what's happened over the last 5 to 7 decades. We're living in an age of overproduction, fields filled with endless rows of crops that look all the same, supermarkets stacked high with produce, and shelves overflowing with packaged goods. On paper, it looks like progress, but beneath the surface lies something very different. Today's food has a fraction of the nutrients it once carried. We're not just eating more empty calories, we're eating food that's been stripped of its biological intelligence. It started with a war not on pests, but on the nutrients that made food truly nourishing. The decline of nutrient density wasn't an accident. It was the result of an agricultural system designed to maximize yield, not nutrition. And I would argue that it's nutrient correctness or nutrient balance in the food that we're eating. The war on nutrients unfolded in three key stages. The first is the assault on soil. Industrial agriculture replaced natural soil fertility with synthetic fertilizers. While these fertilizers boost crop growth, they bypass the complex web of soil microbes that deliver minerals and trace elements to plants. As a result, crops may look full-sized, perfectly shaped perhaps, unnaturally shiny, but they're biologically empty, lacking the correct nutrient profile that once defined real food. Then came the war on weeds and pests. The rise of pesticides and herbicides follows the war on soil. This created another layer of a nutrient collapse. By sterilizing soil ecosystems, these chemicals destroyed vital fungal and microbial networks that once worked in harmony with plants and their roots. The result? Crops no longer absorb minerals efficiently. This leads to further nutrient depletion. Then the need to overproduce for cities arrived. Monocropping started. Modern agriculture prioritized efficiency and scale, turning diverse mineral-rich crop cycles into vast monocrop fields. This practice stripped soil of its biodiversity, accelerating the collapse of natural fertility. Over time, these depleted soils could no longer sustain nutrient-rich food. In each stage, the goal was clear: maximize output at all costs. But the hidden cost was enormous, a slow but steady decline in the nutritional quality of our food. On the surface, nutrient loss seems like an agricultural problem, but its impact reaches far, far deeper. Weak soil produces weak crops. Weak soil leads to weakened soil species, leading to an imbalance and a continued vicious downward cycle. Weak crops produce weak human bodies. Our bodies evolved to thrive on complex, living, biological food. Food that contained the full spectrum of enzymes, cofactors, and minerals required for optimal health. Without these vital nutrients, essentials, the body struggles to perform even its most basic functions. This collapse is now visible in three key areas, metabolic dysfunction being the first one. Metabolic, I don't want you to think of this as a very technical word. Metabolic or metabolism is just the way our bodies process stuff, inputs coming into the body. So metabolic dysfunction, nutrient depleted foods has created a surge in blood sugar issues, metabolic disorders, and obesity. The absence of key minerals like chromium, for example, or magnesium or zinc has weakened the body's ability to regulate glucose, as one example. There's also been an immune system collapse that we're experiencing. This loss of the loss of immune supporting compounds like selenium and sulfur, to name just two, has contributed to rising rates of autoimmune diseases. This includes allergies and many inflammatory disorders. The third very important decline is cognitive and emotional. Brain health is tightly linked to nutrient correctness or nutrient balance in the food, or the absence of nutrient balance in the food. The absence of key fats, minerals, and fat-soluble vitamins has contributed to surges in anxiety, in depression and cognitive impairment. Heart health, I might add, is also linked to perhaps the entire spectrum um, of modern chronic illnesses. But no one is talking about it. No one is talking about the nutritional deficiency and how these chronic diseases are related to these nutritional mineral deficiencies. This isn't just a health crisis, it's a biological weakening of entire populations. As nutrient density collapsed, industries responded with synthetic solutions. A couple of examples include white flour, for instance, which lost its original nutrients due to the over chemicalization or industrialization of the crops. So they added enrichment. They added enriched vitamin. They added enriched iron and B vitamins. Processed cereals, for instance, lost their biological complexity. So they added synthetic vitamins to compensate. Industrial milk is another example, which was stripped of its natural enzymes. So it was fortified with vitamin D. But these interventions fail to restore what was truly lost. Fortified food offers just fragments of nutrition, not the biological complexity that once made real food so powerful. The illusion of better processed food is part of this cycle dependency. Synthetic interventions are designed to keep populations reliant on corporate solutions rather than restoring true food sovereignty. So what do the SDGs, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, say versus what needs to happen? So let's take SDG number 2, which is zero hunger. This emphasizes access to calories. But calories are not nourishment. Populations are increasingly well-fed, stomachs full, but chronically undernourished, cells empty. Let's take SDG number 3, good health and well-being. This calls for improved nutrition, but fails to address the root cause of the nutrient collapse, industrial agriculture itself. And finally, let's talk about SDG number 12, responsible consumption and production. This encourages more sustainable farming methods, yet the emphasis on efficiency keeps reinforcing the same broken model that depletes food in the first place. The SDGs address symptoms, but they often bypass the root cause of the problem, the destruction of soil intelligence. The solution is not just eat better, it's to restore intelligence of food systems. This requires regenerating soil biology. Nutrient density begins in the soil. Rebuilding microbial networks, embracing regenerative cycles, and replacing synthetic fertilizers with compost or biochar, arguably, and cover crops is the key. There's much more to it, of course, than that. We need to start prioritizing local. So biodiverse farming, industrial agriculture thrives, for instance, on monocrops and efficiency. But true food sovereignty lies in biodiverse farming. This demands diverse crops grown in small-scale systems that restore soil and mineral complexity. Redefining what we mean by food is a must. Nutrient-depleted, chemically engineered products are not real food. Real nourishment requires living, vibrant plants and animals raised in harmony with nature and the other ecosystems around them. And lastly, reclaiming ancient practices. Traditional methods like fermentation, seed rotation, and composting didn't just sustain life, they enhanced food's biological power. These forgotten practices must return if we're to reclaim true nourishment at the cellular level. We've been taught to measure food by calories. portion sizes, and labels. But none of these reveal whether we're eating what is truly nourishing us. A carrot grown in rich living soil is not the same as a carrot grown in um, depleted land and pumped with synthetic fertilizers. On paper, they may look identical, but one feeds your cells while the other barely sustains them and feeds them pesticides and chemicals at the same time. The industrial food system has conditioned us to believe that food is just fuel, a sum of carbs, proteins, and fats. But food is much more than that. Food is information. Food is communication. Food is energy. Food is intelligence when taken as whole. And when we eat nutrient dead food, our bodies lose access to that information, to that intelligence, leaving us depleted, fatigued, and vulnerable. Eat of what is good and pure and follow not the footsteps of those who are corrupt, the Quran says. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God, says the Bible. These ancient teachings remind us that food is more than just sustenance. It's a sacred trust. It's a sacred act designed to nourish both body and soul. The wisdom is clear. Pure food fuels pure thought. Corrupted food diminishes life itself. The real crisis isn't about growing more food. It's about growing food that actually nourishes us. Because when we eat food that's rich in nutrients, energy, and biological intelligence, our bodies know exactly what to do. The question isn't whether we can produce enough food. It's whether we're ready to reclaim the nourishment we've forgotten, including reclaiming the way we're designing our cities.